Coming up on Kochie's Business Builders, we find out how to generate great publicity for your business, revisit the inspirational Thankyou Group and get some strict advice from the founder of Tough Mudder. Welcome back to KBB, where we delve into big issues facing small business. Today we find out how to get your business in the public eye, a must-see for anyone seeking a wider audience. And we also catch up with the inspirational guys at Thankyou Group, who we visited back in Series 7. Plus some hard-hitting business lessons from the founder of one of the world's toughest businesses, and a very handy tech tip from Val Quinn. But first, it's time for news you can use. In great news for Australian small business, this year the federal budget included an instant asset write-off for items costing less than $20,000. It's uncapped, so the rule can be applied to as many items as a business purchases. And rather than writing it off over 4 years, as was previously the case, any purchase under $20,000 can be deducted immediately against current year income. To be eligible, a business needs an annual turnover of less than $2 million, and assets must be bought and installed between now and June 30, 2017. Depreciating assets such as cars, tools, equipment and computers can be claimed, injecting some vital breathing room into the cash flow budgets of small business. Intel research shows that old computers are costing small businesses an average of 42 lost work hours every year. So upgrading your technology could be just the boost your business needs. To learn more, visit intel.com.au/businessbuilders. iOmniscient are specialists in high-tech security reporting, a pretty tight niche, and need some help reaching their target market. To help them get there, PR expert David Koch dropped in to share his advice, and for any small business trying to generate publicity, this is a beauty.
So Rustam, tell me a little bit more about iOmniscient.
We are an Australian company focused on intelligent automated response and video analysis. Let me tell you what that means.
Yes, I was wondering.
People have CCTV cameras in airports and railway stations and shopping malls. Usually somebody just attempts to watch these thousands of cameras and they see very little. What our system does is it analyzes what's happening on those cameras. For instance, a child is lost in a shopping mall. It helps emergency services reduce their response time by almost 90%. We essentially have a technology which is based on artificial intelligence, and the key one is, of course, Intel technology. They make some excellent hardware.
Sounds like really critical stuff. Who are the kinds of clients that you guys have?
Airports around the world, from Mexico to Europe, railways like the China fast train, banks, shopping malls, and so on.
Okay, sure. And I understand at the moment you have a few challenges when it comes to public relations and in terms of getting your brand out there and a bit more exposed.
Well, we are always trying to expand the audience that we talk to. However, obviously the world's a big place and we'd like to get our message across to the right audience.
It sounds like you've got a good understanding of public relations. It really all comes down to getting the right message to the right people. And in terms of a good starting point, the best thing to do is to start with listening. It's important, even if you haven't really beefed up your PR campaign yet, to listen out for the organic conversations that are already taking place about your brand and your company. You'd be surprised by how much is already out there. Then we can actually zero in on those conversations and we can start to build out a media list of the journalists that are already writing about you guys. But then we can start to actually search for some industry buzzwords like, say, smart city or the surveillance space. And then we can narrow that down to a couple of key publications that are already talking about your industry or your own company. And then we can actually zero in further to start to build up a list of journalists within those publications that are already writing about the kinds of content that you guys could get exposure attached to. Listen to the kind of conversation that's already taken place and really try to hear what kind of voice those journalists have. This will really help you when it comes to targeting them with the right kind of content, which is the next step. At the end of the day, good PR is about getting your message across. That means building a two-way conversation with the journalists. It's not about standing on the mountaintop and screaming your message. It's about engaging with them with good content and then getting them to spread your message for you.
After the break, David shares his top PR tips. They're invaluable for any small business wanting to get their story heard, so stick around. Before the break, we learnt about the unique target market iOmniscient is trying to reach. Now, tips for how to go about it.
I actually did a bit of research on you guys before I came using our product, and I found that you were actually mentioned last month in a really key study by the Homeland Research Agency. So therefore we have a reputable third-party research piece, and then we can tie that in with your internal insights, and we can put a bit of a spin on it, and we can push it out to journalists and really hope to get some great traction.
So what type of story do you think would be of interest to journalists in that sort of media?
Look at the kind of conversations that are already taking place. Look at the kinds of keywords that are trending. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can jump on the back of this because we already know it's newsworthy. It's what we call newsjacking. We can take some of the data, we can send it out to the journos, and when the article is updated, it will come with some richer industry insight, and best of all, a mention of iOmniscient.
So would your strategy be to talk to journalists who've just written an article on a particular subject?
What we would do is build a list of journalists that are currently writing about your space, and then we would monitor them in real time. As soon as an article comes out, then we would grab your data, package it up with a little bit of your insight, and then create a pitch. And then we would push that out either via social media or over email, or we could even pick up the phone and give them a call. So Rustam, the key to any good PR strategy is about listening. There's a reason why they call it the communications industry, because it's all about communication and it's all about conversations. And we all know that the key to any good conversation is much more about listening than it is about talking. Again, it's not about standing on the mountaintop and screaming your message. It's about engaging in conversations and letting other people do that for you. Don't underestimate the power of social media. Tools like LinkedIn are really fantastic for making sure that you engage the right people.
Thank you, David. That was a very useful conversation.
Thanks a lot, Rustam. I'm sure you have no trouble spreading your message.
Look, I love iOmniscient. It is such cool technology, doing great stuff. And it's some good advice from David there. What are the key points we should take away?
I think, David really summarised it really well for Rustam, but I think Rustam should really have a look at the organic conversation that's happening around his business. What are people already saying organically about iOmniscient? They're in many countries doing a lot of amazing things, so maybe there are things that are not even picking up. So look for, a good media monitoring service, for instance, to see whether he can catch up on some of those things. Really target what journalists he'd like to go after and what publications as well. And then also craft the story towards that journalist and that publication. It's all about storytelling. That's what people want to read and want to read about. So really, how do you craft that story? Not about the product, but more about what advantages it gives to the consumer. And then lastly, don't forget about social media. It's really, it's a massive thing. Whenever something of Rustam's technology kind of saves, a pram going into a train, for instance, really get out there and pump that message.
Yeah. And they're all good tips for the rest of us in our businesses as well. Now, time for the elevator pitch. What new conglomerate could we be about to discover?
My name's Josh and I'm the co-founder of Capital U. We started Capital U to help people solve life's complex financial problems. The truth is we could all use a bit of help with our financial lives, whether that be with our investments, our superannuation, our budgeting, our debt. The problem is today, it is very difficult to find good expert advice. Firstly, there's the cost. To see a financial advisor will cost anything from $2,500 up front and $3,000 to $10,000 per year ongoing. And the second thing is it's actually very difficult to find good financial advisors. And that's where Capital U comes in. Through our platform, users can receive personalised financial advice for free, delivered through an easy-to-digest financial plan. That financial plan will cover everything you'd hope, from investments to debt analysis to budgeting to cash flow to retirement planning to tax-saving opportunities and everything in between. At Capital U, we firmly believe that good financial advice should be the right of the plenty, not of the wealthy.
Okay, Josh. I like it. I love fintech investments. I'm invested in a couple myself. All right, let's go to the money man. Michael, what do you reckon?
I think the concept is great that, we need good advice.
Yeah.
That's always important. I always think in a good business, you got to solve a problem. So the problem's there, good financial advice. The cost is quite high, so they're looking to reduce the cost. But then again, it's the regulation side of things you've got to be very careful of.
Okay. Anna?
It's just understanding who the target audience actually is. So, he mentioned there that financial advice costs between $2,000 to $10,000. Who is he actually going after? What target audience is he looking at? That needs to also be clear in what he's trying to get across.
Look, fintech is huge at the moment. I think that what I would have liked to see in Josh's pitch was the fact that he's also the founder of a company called White Collar Quotes. And White Collar Quotes has actually been very, very successful at getting on board a lot of financial planners, a lot of people in the finance sector. I think that was actually a key part of his pitch that was missing.
Okay, so he's got a track record, which would affect you, Michael, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. In any business you want to invest in, you want someone that's got a good track record.
Yeah.
So that obviously affects it.
Okay, so our comments in summary to Josh would be, play up your experience to get the money on the side. Look at your
Specific target audience,
Yeah. Making sure your licenses are right. It can be a really tricky area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh, keep in touch. Coming up, we find out what's got the Thankyou Group team jumping out of their seats at 3 p.m. Plus, Will from Tough Mudder shares his hard-hitting advice. Stay tuned. We last saw Thankyou Group back in Series 7 when they just had their products stocked on supermarket shelves. 2 years on, Managing Director Daniel Flynn tells us what's changed and how they've grown alongside their partners at NAB.
So Daniel, 7 years into the Thankyou journey now, how are your grand ambitions coming along?
Yeah, look, it's been interesting. I think for our team, we're excited about how far it's come. At the same time, part of having the big ambitions is you think everything's going to happen sooner. But at the same time, we're blown away to see so much support from the public getting behind it.
Now, we caught up a couple of years ago and you changed the scope and setup of the business a bit. How's your foray into body care and also food products gone?
Look, it's been a really interesting move for us. It was met initially with a lot of skepticism. People said, hang on, you're a water company. We get it, you make good water, that's one thing. But to now, to convince people that you could even have a right to play in food and then in body care, it's a bit of a tall order. And there was even a lot of skepticism around the brand Thankyou. I mean, there's no brand globally that uses the same brand name in multiple categories in food, beverage and body care. So our water business probably makes up about a third of what we do now. And so our body care range has taken off 13 products now. In that range, I think there's 2 of our products are market leaders in the whole category. So number 1 and number 2 on the shelf, outselling all the multinationals. It's amazing.
So you've had great success. Your food products alone, sales jumped by 35% just last year. What are you guys doing to really drive that growth?
At Thankyou, one thing we talk about is number 1, the product has to be as good, if not better than competitors. And really we've discovered it's got to be better. Number 2, by buying it, you're changing the world. Number 3 will prove the impact of that. And that hierarchy at Thankyou has become so crucial to us. Because if we flip it and just try and sell the cause, people buy it once. It's a good cause, and they go back to what they actually like.
And what does the innovation and sort of market awareness program look like?
Innovation is our focus. So our innovation team here at Thankyou are always working on, what's the next thing that, is going to explode on the shelf. We've got a product launching, I think, this week or next with teff in it. It's a new superfood. It's in our protein clusters. Now, teff, quinoa, chia seeds, that's happened. People jumped on it. Teff's a new, it's up and coming. We're on that trend. As far as we can tell, other people aren't. But again, In 6 months, maybe everyone will have TEF. We've got to think again. So innovation's everything. Once you find a product that is awesome, you tell people. So from a brand marketing perspective, word of mouth is everything. If the product's good, people tell people. It's a cool spiral.
So going back to the start, can you just explain how the social enterprise business model works?
The way our social enterprise works is we make a product, specifically food, water and body care products, that exist 100% to fund food, health, sanitation and water programs in developing countries.
It sounds like an incredibly difficult thing to get finance, get partners across the line with. How did you go about that in the early days?
In the very early days, we were able to find a couple of people to literally make some small donations that made a huge impact to get this idea off the ground. And as we've grown, one of the things we've stayed true to is never selling equity. So you can't buy shares in Thankyou. It exists 100% for impact, and every quarter we distribute our profits up. They all get paid out to our programs. So then how do you finance growth? And a lot of that's been, self-perpetuating within the organisation, but from time to time we've had different people come on, provide us with loans. NAB they were the first bank to actually offer us a line of credit. And to a startup, it's nearly impossible to get it. We got that, and that was helpful to kick things off.
You were 19 when you came into this, now 27. What's been the greatest business lesson that you've taken out of it?
Greatest business lesson? People told us we were pretty naive at the beginning. And maybe that comes with youth, with lack of experience. Our greatest strength is keeping that naivety. We can learn from experience in the past, but the key is being willing to challenge the way things have always been done before.
Now, there was a bit of an odd stat in your annual report this year about the number of squats you've done here.
Yeah.
Can you shed a bit of light on that for us?
So, okay, 3 o'clock is squat o'clock at Thankyou. We love it. If you're an external and you're in our office, doesn't matter what you do, you're doing squats with us, and that's a bit of fun. Now, we did 165,000 squats as a team. I don't want to blow the numbers up what I did personally. It would be low, a couple of hundred, maybe not even. So I probably haven't set a great example on squats personally. But again, it's the team that makes the dream work. So as a team, we've done pretty well.
Daniel, it sounds like you had a great team here and plenty of energy to drive them into the future. Thanks a lot for sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
This Entrepreneur in the Spotlight brought to you by NAB. Those guys continue to impress me, and Daniel's advice is well beyond his years. I particularly like his point that to stand out, your business needs to stay on trend, have a product better than your competitors, and be willing to challenge the way things have always been done. All right, moving on to tech now, and Val Quinn is back with another actionable tip, and then I'll answer another of your tough questions in Ask Kochie. But now, lessons from legends, with the man behind one of my greatest physical challenges, Tough Mudder.
Hi, I'm Will Dean, CEO and founder of Tough Mudder. I have 2 tips for any aspiring entrepreneurs out there. The first one is stay humble. The smartest people in this world learn from their mistakes. You don't need an IQ of 200 to be an entrepreneur. You just need to be able to course correct when things didn't work out, and making sure your ego doesn't get in the way is key. So that's the first one. The second one is stay resilient. We all get knockbacks, we all get knocked down, and some people are going to hate you for that, but you've got to keep going, and you've got to remember anyone that ever built anything has been through those moments, and that grit and that resilience is ultimately what makes successful people successful.
It's Tech Tip time with Val Quinn.
Employee happiness doesn't tend to top the list of corporate objectives. However, businesses ought to take the well-being of their workforce more seriously, or it could cost them their bottom lines. Happy workers are better workers. Positive workplaces have higher levels of engagement, which goes directly to performance and productivity, innovation, creativity, teamwork, and collaboration. In larger companies, and especially where a lot of people work remotely or across several projects, various issues in terms of cohesion and lack of motivation can arise. Startups and established pollsters alike are working to bring the employee engagement survey into the age of smartphones and big data. Now, there are several options for quick daily happiness check-ins, apps like WooBoard or Nico that allow employees to indicate their overall moods. So you, as a business owner, can act upon the things that need your attention much faster. And you can't put a price on a happy workforce.
All right, let's get into Ask Kochie now. And Kim has asked us on Facebook, my partner and I are starting our own business. What tips do you have for first-timers who are starting their business from scratch? Well, the most important thing is to start with a solid business plan with realistic revenue and cash flow forecasts. Without this, you're really flying blind. Now, business.gov.au have free templates available, and your local business enterprise centre can also help with plans and training. Going through this process will give you a clear picture of your business structure, your strategy and your goals, and force you to do thorough research of the competition and your target market. It's also worth looking at a grants finder on the business.gov website because there's plenty of help out there. You just need to know where to look. And of course, don't forget to read KBB's weekly newsletter at kbbtv.com.au for all your small business news, tips and tricks. Good luck. Coming up on next week's show, how to know the right time to expand your operations. An Aussie woman bucking the manufacturing malaise, and sky-high business tips from Dropbox. You don't want to miss it.